What's up, everyone? This is Clock Management. I'm your host, Justin, and as always, I'm joined by my colleague, Perry.
Colleague, wow.
Yeah, I changed it up a
Uh,
little.
yeah, Justin, if I were a stoplight, I would turn red every time you walked by, just so I could stare at you a bit longer.
Nice, nice.
I
Be a
would also be
really,
a very annoying stoplight.
yeah,
Yeah,
I was gonna say, it'd be a really awkward game of red light, green light.
yeah. I'm not saying it would win you over, but it's what I'd do.
uh,
Been a while. How you doing?
right. And we're gonna talk about some about the free agency here, which is exciting. I have been busy actually, Perry. Uh,
Yeah, you've been busy with work
yeah,
and this,
and
right?
yeah, which is kind of work, but in a fun
It's
way, and I don't get paid. So I guess it's
oh,
not really work at all. Uh,
right. Yeah, it's a hobby.
yeah, I think that's like the definition, in fact. Uh,
Yeah.
but no, so yeah, in the last few days, I got the website launched. I do need to correct the rankings because they are off. Um, we do have,
Especially with everything that's going on right now.
yeah, we do have interviews up there with from another guy that we work with, Jay the Plug, which is pretty cool. He's got some big names that actually be posting on our website really soon, so that's awesome. Um, like one of them, I can say it because it's officially happened. It's just not on there yet. Is Darren Waller will be posting in the next couple days, so that's pretty awesome. Um,
I
yeah.
believe that's
Also,
Mr. Waller
the
to you.
the website is clock.management. In case you guys wanted to check it out, probably should mention that. Um, make
Even if
sure,
you don't want to check it out, go check it out.
yeah, right. Make sure you
Yeah,
guys subscribe
I'm the
on
boss.
YouTube too. That'd be cool.
That would be helpful, honestly.
Yeah,
That whole like hobby thing could become a job thing if
right.
enough of you go do that. That's all.
um, Created a fantasy football league. Uh,
Hmm.
got some people in it, which was kind of cool. We got if you guys are familiar with, which I mean, if you're listening to us, let's be honest, you're familiar with the fantasy footballers because
Yeah.
they're a much larger name in this industry, and one of them is in it. They actually talked about our league on their show, their most recent show, which was pretty cool for the first 2 minutes of their show.
Yeah. I mean, the fantasy footballers, uh, I mean, I don't want to sound corny, but they're honestly a huge inspiration to you and I.
Yeah,
Just three friends that started making a podcast because they like fantasy football, and it's become this gigantic thing. And they're who got me into fantasy football podcasts, just listening to them.
yeah.
Um,
Them and
a lot of
CBS
times,
Sports are like were like the two I listened
right?
to religiously before I got
Yeah,
super big into it, I guess.
right. And I'm excited. I'm excited for that. I'm a big fan of the fantasy footballers, and uh, I really want to beat. Are we saying who's in it? Are we waiting? Are we
Oh,
announcing that?
I mean, I can say like we can talk about any of the people who have 100% confirmed they're in it, which is Andy Holloway from the Footballers, Heath
Hmm.
Cummings from the aforementioned CBS Sports podcast I
Hmm.
listen to, super excited about that. Marcus Grant from NFL Network. Um, uh, oh, we got Hugh Jackson, the former
That's
Browns head coach.
that's the one I wanted to. I was waiting.
Yeah,
I, I love the footballers were talking about all the terrible trades that people are going to send to Hugh Jackson,
yeah, and then
and I'm on board.
this one's not official yet, but if you guys want to go hit up T Pain on Twitter and stuff, he is considering being in the league. So just go ahead and harass him and get him in there, man.
Yeah,
But
please.
one of his artists on his record label is actually in the league, Cheo Nash. So that's pretty cool too. But
Right on.
yeah, it's a pretty awesome league so far, and we still got room to fill. You know what I mean?
Hmm. Yeah,
And
yeah.
I did a podcast with Heath
Who've been
Cummings this
winning?
week. It's or last week. It's been a wild, wild week.
Yeah, you've been moving. We got to get Peyton Manning in the league.
Right? That'd
That's
be
what I want.
cool. I'd be, and if Jerry Rice joins, then I'm purposely throwing every game against him. I couldn't.
No,
I wouldn't be able
no.
to sleep at night
You and I
if.
are managing that team together, and we are beating Jerry Rice.
Well, I mean, I'm gonna choose the worst kicker every time we play him, Perry. Take it.
good luck. I feel like like it's hard to pick a bad kicker. It's hard to pick a kicker. There's like very few guarantees. Anyway,
Anyways, we got some
uh,
actual news to cover.
the right, it started. This is the week that it started. I'm gonna say right now, there's a lot of news already. There may be more news before the end of the week. We might have to do like another small emergency show. Justin, we'll have to talk about that because there could be a ton of stuff dropping.
Man,
But
if it's an emergency show, it's got to be like Blair Witch camera style.
okay, yeah, I'm
only
down.
only our older
Run around
fans
in the woods.
understand that.
Run around the woods outside my house.
Breaking
well,
news: Robert Woods.
Robert Woods. Breaking news: Deshaun Watson to Denver. Anyways, so the most important news that has come out is that Malcolm Butler was released by the Titans.
Right. I was going to say the most important news is Jimmy G is still a 49er.
Yeah, that's the most surprising news so far. No, Malcolm Butler released. The only reason I bring this up is because they're going to be setting $10 million dollars to the salary cap.
Yeah.
Which, I thought they would try and use that money to keep Jonnu, but it's appears that Jonnu will not be franchise tagged, and while that doesn't guarantee that they won't sign him, it does sound like they are not interested in signing Jonnu back, or at least not at the money that he's going to be looking for. So,
which maybe that's why they're doing it. Like, let him go test the free agency and see that there's not that big of a market.
There's not, but he'll find somewhere. He's going to find somebody that's willing to pay him more than the Titans are willing to pay him.
Yeah, I agree with that. I think the Giants would be great if they could get rid of Evan Ingram.
So you think the Jonnu to the Giants?
I would love that. Yeah.
Maybe, man. The Jets and the Giants, I cringe every time a good offensive weapon goes to one of those teams.
Yeah, the Jets, I don't know how eager I'd be about that, but the Giants, I feel their offensive line got better, and mostly it comes down to me just watching a 5-minute montage clip of Evans dropping the ball.
Mm-hmm.
I'm like, man, imagine if they had a tight end that could catch.
Right. I was thinking because it sounds like OJ Howard is out of Tampa. What if Jonnu went to Tampa because they have cap room? They can afford him.
Yeah, it might end up being like kind of Tom Brady Patriots thing where it's like, which week do you start him?
Maybe. Yeah, that's true. I mean, Cameron Brate showed flashes last season.
Yeah.
Gronk, it sounds like Gronk's coming back.
Yeah, if Gronk was gone, I'd be excited.
I mean, I'm not saying that he becomes a better fantasy asset in Tampa than he was on the Titans, but I am saying I could see the Bucks going and getting Jonnu. Okay. Aaron Jones will not be franchise tagged. I didn't really think it would happen. Obviously, there was a possibility. There's a few guys that were franchise tagged that we'll talk about that I didn't think would either.
Yeah,
so
same.
It is important to note that that Aaron Jones will not be franchise tagged. That again does not mean, and this is going to be the last time I say this, if you get if you do not get franchise tagged, that does not mean that the team is planning on letting you walk.
Yeah.
It just means that you're not getting the franchise tag.
Yeah,
they can still sign him to a deal.
Yeah, it just means that other teams now have the ability to talk to him about contracts. So,
right. So I'm going to ask you, Justin, best landing spot for Aaron Jones fantasy wise, worst landing spot for Aaron Jones fantasy wise.
Oh man, so best, I'm gonna say Texans if they were to keep Deshaun Watson as well.
Okay.
Worst, I'm gonna say a team. Let me see. Probably like the Washington football team.
Okay. Yeah. Antonio Gibson.
Yeah, Antonio Gibson kind of
Gets
makes it a little
ruined.
bit murky, and then also without knowing who their quarterback is, teams may have the ability to stack the box a little more there.
Sure. Um, I don't have a worst landing spot. I think my favorite landing spot is him staying in Green Bay. That might be cheating though on this little game. I would say if not in Green Bay, the Dolphins would be my favorite landing spot
Yeah,
for
the
Aaron Jones.
Dolphins is a super popular one for him. I've seen that a lot.
Right. Right. Okay. Chris Carson also not expected to get a franchise tag from the Seahawks. It feels like to me that the Seahawks are done with Chris Carson. I don't think they're upset with him or anything, but I feel like
They're
they're
ready to
under the
move on.
impression that they've reached their peak with Chris Carson and
Yeah.
they're ready to move on from him.
Yeah.
Currently still on the roster is Rashad Penny, DJ Dallas. Do you think Seattle goes and gets a running back to replace Carson, or are they going to try and ride these two and go draft another rookie?
I think that's what they're going to do.
Yeah. Do
Option
you
two.
foresee them like maybe going out and getting not Aaron Jones, but from the Cardinals?
Oh,
Yeah,
Kenyon Drake. No,
Kenyon Drake.
no, I think that they're gonna go for the draft and try and get one of these rookies. And there's one in particular that I really like. That's Javonte Williams. I think he would be a great fit for Seattle.
Yeah, I think that's the smart play. If I were a Seahawk fan, I would want them to do that rather than go get Kenyon Drake.
Yeah, and I think
Chris Carson.
I think he'll be a early to mid round, second round pick. So they might have to, or early like to mid second round pick. So they might have to move up to actually get him.
Chris Carson is currently ranked as the 21st running back in half point PPR. How old is Chris Carson? Chris Carson's 26.
Yeah, I was gonna say he's not
So he's not
super old.
ancient.
No,
Yeah.
he's
I
just
think,
had a lot of injuries recently.
He's had, yeah. I mean, he misses games, right? Let me
Yeah.
take a look at his games. He's never played 16 games in a season,
No,
but he's played 4 in 2017, which was his first season, 14, 15, and 12. So, I mean, he's like relatively healthy, but there's always been something kind of like nagging with Chris Carson.
Yep.
I think for me, I think Chris Carson lands in Atlanta. And if Chris Carson's in Atlanta, I'm kind of excited about him. I don't know if he's going to repeat, the 1,200 yards, 7 to 9 touchdowns that he's been doing in Seattle. But I think he could be 1,000-yard rusher and have like 4 to 6 touchdowns, right? Like, I think he could have a pretty good season in Atlanta.
no, I really want Frank Gore to end up in Atlanta.
You want Frank Gore to end up in the NFL.
That's accurate.
Do you have a spot for Chris Carson?
I agree with you. I think Atlanta would be a great spot for him. But I mean, honestly, Seattle's a great spot for him. But they're ready, like you said, they're ready to move on. So yeah, I think Atlanta's at need of a running back, and between they could have a 1-2 punch there. So.
Mm-hmm. Is one of those punches Todd Gurley in your mind?
Yeah, just when they get to the 1 yard line.
Oh man,
whether you want him to or not.
Man,
you remember
Todd
that
Gurley.
one game he accidentally scored?
Right. Do you remember how he almost had us convinced halfway through the season that we were wrong about him?
Yeah, I'm glad I'm stubborn.
Yeah. I'm glad that you're stubborn, which kept me on the right side of the fence because I was like, he might be kind of good.
Ooh,
No.
close one.
Yeah. If you end up with Todd Gurley on your roster this year, make sure it's very late in drafts and trade him as soon as he scores a touchdown.
Yeah,
Get
literally
him.
the second it happens.
Right. It could be week 1. I don't care. Sell high. Right. Get him out. Anyways, Hunter Henry also not expected to get the franchise tag. This one I was kind of surprised about. I thought they might franchise Hunter Henry. They really love Hunter Henry. How do you feel about Hunter Henry?
Well,
Is
it
he a
is a
top
new
10
coaching
tight end?
regime there, so
Yeah,
maybe that's
right.
why. But yeah,
Good point.
I like Hunter Henry a lot. He's another one of those players that always seems to have some sort of injury though. Um,
Right.
so I mean, yeah, he would be. There's tons of teams that could use him, right? Like the tight end position is not a hugely talented position among the NFL, or productive, I should say. And so he's one of the few out there that can produce when healthy.
So I maybe you can't explain it to me, but I don't understand the Hunter Henry Evan Ingram obsession in the fantasy community. I don't understand it. Uh,
Well, I mean,
he's
I agree
played
with you for Evan Ingram.
he's played 15 games, 14 games, 0 in 2018, 12 games and 14 games. So he's had like mostly total like full seasons. Most yardage he's ever had, 652 yards. And then he had 8 touchdowns his rookie season. Otherwise, he's had 4, 0, 5, and 4. It I just don't get it with Hunter Henry. I mean, sure, that's a fantasy relevant tight end,
Yeah, that was going to be my point. For a tight end, that's not horrible.
it's not horrible, but it's also just like right in the thick of it. You know what I mean? I'm not saying Hunter Henry shouldn't be drafted or played in fantasy. I just people speak about Hunter Henry in the same breath, or I don't know, one breath away from like Darren Waller.
Yeah,
I
okay, I'm
don't
not there, so I cannot be blamed for those people. He's definitely a tier and a half below that.
yeah, well, okay. Hunter Henry or Robert Tunyon?
Hunter Henry.
I'm taking Robert Tunyon.
No, Robert Tunyon's like his efficiency is not going to be repeatable in the red zone.
He could have a similar season to Hunter Henry, though. I mean, Hunter Henry.
Well, I mean, also it depends where Hunter Henry ends up, right? Like, obviously.
Sure, sure. I don't know. It just seems weird to me. It seems weird. I'm having trouble explaining myself.
Yeah, yeah.
But
Also, I think there's a bunch of names that you would have threw out there where I would have went the other way. I'm actually very low on Tunyon this year, so
Mike Gesicki.
yeah, I'm going Mike Gesicki.
Yeah, Mike Gesicki is currently ranked 2 spots below Hunter Henry.
Yeah,
Logan Thomas.
I love Logan Thomas.
Jonnu
Yes,
Smith.
depending on landing spot, but probably Janu.
Hayden Hurst in Atlanta.
No.
Okay. So that's where your threshold is.
Yeah.
Hunter Henry's 8th currently, whereas Hayden Hurst is 14th.
Yeah, that's what, and that sounds about right. You know, like you got your first tier of tight end, and then you have your second tier that takes you from tight end 4 all the way down to 12 because
Sure.
it's all together.
I'm just saying the way we talk about Hunter Henry makes it sound like he's competing with Mark Andrews,
No,
right?
no, yeah, that's not
Which he's
accurate.
not. I feel like we should be talking about Hunter Henry like he's competing with Logan Thomas, Jonnu Smith.
Yeah, which I like both of them more, but
Sure.
yeah, but I will say he is a tier ahead of Evan Ingram.
I would rather have Hunter Henry than Evan Ingram.
Yeah, yeah.
Yeah. Okay.
Yeah, I prefer tight ends that have the capability to catch a ball.
Okay. So we're going to talk about one more player that was not franchise tagged. That's Kenny Galladay, not going to be
This one
franchise
shocked
tagged for the
me.
Lions. Yeah. This is the one that I thought for sure was going to happen
Yeah.
because they have no one else.
And every report I read was like, yeah, they're planning to franchise tag him.
Well, they needed to. I mean,
Yeah.
this is the worst wide receiver core in the NFL now.
Yeah, they're like, hey, what if we just completely offload our entire team?
I think that's what's happening.
Yeah, and Swift is like, can I leave?
Right. And I'm like, can Swift leave?
I'll take him. He'll get
Yeah.
more fantasy points like in my backyard than on their team. So,
Yeah.
and I have a tiny backyard.
3 points for mowing the lawn. Um, okay, well, Kenny Galladay hits the market, right?
Yeah.
Um, I mean, spoiler alert: Chris Godwin and Allen Robinson were both franchise tag. We'll talk about that in a second.
Yeah.
That makes Kenny Galladay the best free agent wide receiver,
Yeah.
right?
Yeah.
Right.
Kind of surprising.
Um,
Good.
which I mean, Kenny Galladay is very
Well,
good.
yeah, but I would have expected either one of those other two to not get franchise tagged
Right,
before Kenny Galladay, or yeah, vice versa.
right. So I have no idea where Kenny Galladay might land. I've just been so sure of the fact that he would remain a Lion. Um, that doesn't seem to be the case. Is it? I mean, I've heard the Jets brought up quite a few times,
Yeah, I
which
mean,
scares me.
yeah, the Jets and Giants both in desperate need of a wide receiver one, so I think both those are. Anytime you talk about a wide receiver, they're gonna get brought up.
Right.
Yeah, I mean, even Miami, that's another one that could use another great wide receiver there.
Matt, that's a good point. Devontae Parker and Kenny Galladay in Miami, that could be really good for Tua
Yeah,
if Tua's still there. I mean,
yeah. I mean,
I've heard Seattle trading Russell Wilson for Tua and 2 first-round picks.
yeah, great.
Oh gosh,
We'll see
I
what
mean,
happens.
there are some Seattle fans that I would love to watch them struggle through that, but
I was just talking to a fellow 49er fan of mine about how much I would love to see the Seahawks trade away Russell Wilson. So, oh, yes, I need this in my life.
as a fan of the Denver Broncos who have been trying to replace John Elway for
A millennia.
2 decades, over 2 decades now, except for the 4 years we had Peyton Manning, do not trade away one of the best quarterbacks in the NFL. Just don't do it.
Yeah. Speaking
Okay.
of the Cowboys,
Right? Wow, what a segue.
yeah, they just
Nicely done, my friend.
agreed to a 4-year contract, $160 million with Dak Prescott.
Yeah, so the 160 isn't that impressive in the big number
Yeah,
category,
especially after
terms-
Mahomes ruined it.
right? But 126 million of it is guaranteed. That's
Yeah.
the impressive part.
And
That's the highest
seven,
guaranteed money number.
I can't remember. It's either 73 or 76 million in year one.
66 million to sign, 75 million in year one.
Yeah.
So you had a $66 million signing bonus, and then he gets another 75 million for this year.
Yeah. That's
Doing pretty well.
yeah. You think they regret not signing him a couple years ago?
I don't know.
It would have been cheaper.
It would have been cheaper. You're right. It would have been cheaper. It would have been longer though, which I don't know if the team wanted that. Right? I don't think Dallas ever didn't want to give Dak a lot of money. I think they didn't want to give him a lot of years. And I don't know. I think the team's actually probably pretty happy with this deal.
Yeah, I mean, I'm sure they are because they're bringing Dak back. I just feel like I don't know.
Yeah, they only had to commit to him for 4 years.
Yeah, the quarterback deals are just so crazy to me because, like, how do you build around that?
Well, I mean, they've already done it. That's the crazy thing.
Yeah,
is they've
that is
locked
true.
up- they've locked up Amari through 2024,
But
Dak through 2024.
at the
CeeDee
expense
Lamb
of their
through
offensive
2024.
line, which used to be the best offensive line in the NFL.
Right. That's the hidden
And
part of this.
ask Russell Wilson how great that is.
Right. So Zeke, how do you feel about Zeke, right? That's the thing that we're all trying to figure out.
So,
Is
I mean,
obviously this helps Zeke, but
yeah,
there's
Dak
no
coming
offensive
back
line.
is great. Obviously, the offensive line not being what it used to be is not great. But I mean, for fantasy, I think he's still a first round pick.
Yeah. Yeah. I agree. He's no longer in the discussion for top 5 for me,
No,
but
there's this
I
app,
think
Sports Me, where you can do sports debates, and I just did one of those with another content creator, and that was that. Actually, the topic was running backs that are currently not in the top 5 that could finish there, and
Hmm.
Zeke was not even mentioned.
Yeah. I don't think he can. He can finish there,
Yeah,
but I'm not willing
absolutely.
to bet that he will.
And I mean, you know, running backs get injured all the time, so some of the guys who may finish ahead of him could get injured, and then he could end up in that spot. But my money's not on that happening.
Right. Okay, let's talk about Allen Robinson getting franchise tagged to the Bears for the second straight year. That means that he is most likely going to play with the Bears. Teams can offer two first round picks?
Yeah,
I believe it's two
yeah. So
first
he's
round
staying
picks.
there.
So he's probably staying there, right? It's happened before, but I highly doubt that it will happen
And
in this scenario.
this confirms it though, that Russell Wilson's going to the Bears.
That was one of his landing spot hopes. Allen Robinson staying with the Bears doesn't really. I mean, obviously we're all kind of bummed. We really wanted to see him with a good quarterback, but he's never had one in his career, and he's been awesome the whole time. So, draft Allen Robinson with the expectation that he does more of what he did last season.
And
He had-
honestly, this might hurt his draft capital to where he falls down rankings,
Yeah.
even though nothing has changed.
right. He had 102 receptions for 1,250 yards and 6 touchdowns. All of that is repeatable.
Yeah,
That's the cool thing about Allen Robinson is he had a great season, and there were no outliers. So Allen Robinson could repeat or improve on that. I do not expect him to do worse unless he gets injured. So,
yeah.
and then the last big one was Chris Godwin getting franchise tagged by the Bucks. I said this I think 2 episodes ago, Justin, that I thought Chris Godwin would remain with the Bucks, and it seems like that's the case. So I think the Bucks are just gonna try and run it back.
Right.
Honestly,
It seems that way. And I mean, maybe they actually just signed their one of their linebackers to a new contract as well, which he took a very team friendly deal. So I mean, I agree. I think that Tom Brady, just like when he was with the Patriots, is getting some of these players on board with this
right.
idea. Taking these team friendly deals to win some Super Bowls.
Tom Brady's restructuring his deal as well.
Yeah, yeah, and I mean that's what you want, right? Like as a quarterback, you're a leader of a team. Like you set the example. So he's continuing to do what he did in New England, and we're seeing it be successful.
Yeah, I'm excited. I'm excited for this offense. A full off season.
All right, Perry,
With all
call
these
it now.
guys together.
Does Tom Brady fall off this year?
No, no. I do
but
not
but
think
this
Tom
year
Brady
is
falls
the
off.
year, Perry.
Right.
Says
So
everyone for the last 6 years.
ago.
Yeah.
No, I don't think so. I mean, will he throw as many touchdowns as he did last season? Maybe not. He had a pretty high touchdown rate last season,
but
but I
maybe.
still think Tom Brady's just fine.
Yeah.
Just fine. I think that he's an awesome late round quarterback option.
Yeah.
So, anyways, and then last guy I wanted to talk about.
Where do you see Dak as a fantasy quarterback?
I have Dak top 3.
Nice. Yeah, I like it. I mean, I think there's people are going to fade him because recency bias, and he didn't play last year. So I think he's going to get faded, but like, I like that. He has all the weapons.
Dak doesn't score on his legs all that much. Or I think he averages like right around 300 rushing yards a season. So, I mean, he gets a little bit, but that comes out to like 18 yards a game or something. So his injury doesn't freak me out all that much. And
his
they're going to have
offensive
to throw
weapons.
the ball.
And then you have CD Lamb still there, who
Right.
Year 2.
Right. I mean, Amari Cooper, obviously him and Dak have a pretty good working relationship. CD Lamb I expect him to take a big leap forward here. And Galladay, or not Kenny Galladay,
Gallup.
Michael Gallup.
Who would you rather have between Amari Cooper and CD Lamb? I want to say they're ranked 2 spots in the East, like most rankings away from each other.
It's really hard. I think I'm still going to want Amari more, but it's so close. It's
Yeah.
so
I'm a
close.
CD. I'm in on CD Lambs.
I know you are, but you've hated Amari Cooper his entire career.
Yeah.
So
I mean, I haven't
uh,
hated
I
him. I
already
just
knew.
for his ranking, yeah.
I knew the answer
But I've
to that
been
question
but
before you asked it.
but I've been accurate.
I suppose. I mean, Amari Cooper's been like a number one wide receiver
Yeah, but
every,
like my
every year.
my point before was like when he was on the Raiders, for example, is you could always get Crabtree 2 rounds later, and every year Crabtree would finish either ahead of him or a point or two behind him, which
I mean, in a vacuum, in a vacuum, I'm correct about Amari Cooper. But you're right. I mean, if there's another wide receiver on the team that's going to produce just a little bit less, but for cheaper, then obviously I would go with the cheaper
yeah,
guy.
I mean that was my point previously, and that's basically what my point is here. Is I'd rather have CD Lamb from this team.
CeeDee Lamb is currently 24, where Amari Cooper's 19. So,
Okay.
I mean, that could be a full round difference. So then, yeah, in that case, I would take CeeDee Lamb. But like Robert Woods is ahead of Amari Cooper right now. I think I might take Amari over Robert Woods. Um, Kenny Galladay, Mike Evans, I'd probably
I'm
take
taking
those two
Woods.
ahead. I mean, you could take Woods, but I don't know. I think they're really close together. I mean, what about Adam Thielen? Would you rather have Adam Thielen or Amari Cooper?
Amari Cooper.
Well, yeah, Adam Thielen's one spot ahead.
Yeah.
So I mean, Amari Cooper could be a really good value this season. Both these guys could be a really good value this season.
Yeah, it's going to be I think this offense is going to be, have a vast improvement, obviously, with Dak back behind the.
Dak was
the
averaging
center.
50 pass attempts a game before
Yeah.
he got injured. And I don't expect that to happen.
Those are Cincinnati numbers.
Like, that's insane.
Yeah.
Anyways, last player I want to talk about, because we're trying not to go too long here, is that the GM was for the Ravens was reported saying Gus Edwards will remain a Raven one way or another in 2021. I'm out on J.K. Dobbins. I cannot.
I'm leaning more and more that way.
I'm trying to tell everybody.
Yeah, I
that
know.
J.K. Dobbins is super talented. I totally get it.
Like,
Situation matters.
yeah, and I mean, does that mean he's going to force him to play even if he doesn't have a contract?
Right. I mean,
no, I'm leaning more and more towards that way. I don't want to though because I love J.K. Dobbins, but you are right about I don't like the situation.
right.
It's upsetting for me.
Justice Hill will still be there,
Yeah.
and he will still touch the ball.
I'm not so worried about Justice Hill, but he'll get some, here and there.
I wouldn't be worried about Justice Hill if they had a different quarterback.
Yeah, that's
Right.
where my fear is their quarterback and it, like, because if Gus left, then yeah, give me J.K. Dobbins. But like with Gus still there and the quarterback, and he's in a three-headed monster, and one of them's not even a running back.
Right. And one of them gets to decide if he holds on.
Yeah, one of them chooses which one of them gets the ball.
Right. So
Who's
J.K.
scoring the
Dobbins-
touchdown, you or me?
J.K. Dobbins currently, let me see where he's at. I know some people are starting to catch on to this a little more. So he's currently 16 behind Joe Mixon, Cam Akers, J.K. Dobbins, Antonio Gibson, CEH, James Robinson. So I would take James Robinson, Antonio Gibson, David Montgomery.
Yeah,
All
Montgomery.
ahead.
I'm telling you, Montgomery's being slept on.
Yeah.
But yeah, I agree with you on all parts.
Right on. Okay, cool. Well, like I said, I expect a whole lot more stuff to be dropping in the next 3 days. So
Yeah.
maybe, Justin, we might do something on Friday
Yeah, I'm down.
just to catch back up, because lots to talk about.
Yeah, and
Maybe-
make sure you guys go onto our Twitter. I'll be dropping in the next couple of days whatever our autographed jersey giveaway for this month is, so you guys can vote on which jersey you want to receive.
Right on. Cool. All right, everybody. Subscribe, comment,
All right.
go. What else do we want people to do, Justin?
I mean, if you guys,
Leave a review.
yeah, that'd be cool. Share with your friends, your family.
Hmm.
Um,
Hmm.
download it.
Create a YouTube account for your cat and have your cat subscribe to us.
Yeah, hang my picture on your wall.
Hmm.
Um,
Hmm.
just all everything like that. Uh,
Cool.
yeah, time to clock out.